Let's keep talking some tech. Jeff Pierce, our Senior Manager of Derivatives Trading at Charles Schwab, joins us from St. Louis, looking at Microsoft after a little bit of a scare from the narrative this week on maybe the government kind of poking around very early on in the stage of innovation, trying to call out maybe who's monopolizing. It just seems so early to even think about that as a threat, Jeff.
It is very early in it, but I think unfortunately, this is kind of the beginning of a long road, right? It's not a terrible surprise here. We've seen these tech names, really be looked at by the regulators for a while. When they think about the dominance of Google search, you think about some of the App Store issues out there, and certainly most of these tech companies, in some way or another, have been, investigated for how they use consumers' data, right? So now the FTC is certainly looking at some of these names, and Microsoft is one of them, concerned that they're going to be able to really control this AI space and these AI applications. It's worth noting, on top of that, Microsoft is being looked at by the FTC for their deal to employ Inflection's AI co-founder, as well as a lot of their employees, which they paid about $650 million for their technology. They think they may have structured the deal in a way to avoid an antitrust investigation. So there's certainly a lot going on from that perspective. But I do think, this is something we're going to see, we're going to see down the road as AI develops. This is going to continue to be something that these tech firms are having to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not a mystery like who's in charge here and who's running the show. There's a reason why NVIDIA is like totally absorbed like a massive amount of market cap, like 30% of the rally this year. Microsoft closely linked to, it's just in our conversation about objects in motion, it seems like Microsoft fits that same kind of theme where the world's biggest company, likely to stay that way. If it shares it with NVIDIA, fine. It's kind of like a partner in many ways. So two linked to kind of the same trade right now, and it seems like there's no reason to really question it from a negative side.
Yeah, I think, we talk about AI with seemingly every company now, but Microsoft is one of those names where you don't have to look very far to see where that really helps their product line, right? Whether it's Windows, their Office suite, the, Xbox, cloud, Azure, all of those things. Now with their AI position are going to continue to, or likely to continue to see growth, right, within those existing products. And you could argue that they're ahead of competitors now because of, their pairing with OpenAI. We've already seen them put Chat GPT into their search engine. We've seen them integrate a lot of these AI models into, PowerPoint, their Copilot, Microsoft 360. Last month they announced those Surface laptops and Surface Pro tablets, which will be able to run AI tasks. And that, a lot of these PCs are now expected to run longer. They're expected to be able to, do these AI capabilities. And, that's the other part of this is PC sales, right? Some expectations are that they're going to be relatively flat this year, but a lot of that has to do with some weakness in China, some higher PC inventories. There's a lot of anticipation for the second half of this year. We're going to start seeing these computer sales really pick up because they now have this AI software in there. We know Intel, AMD, Qualcomm, all of these names are already building these PC parts. We know, Dell, HP, a lot of those computer makers are already, planning to sell these PCs in the coming months. So we could see a boost from that. We're continuing to see a boost as they integrate AI in all of their products. So there's a lot of optimism, and we don't have earnings coming up until July 30th, but we're seeing analysts continue to weigh in with positivity. Oppenheimer, for example, just moved them to 500 from 450, kept an outperform rating on the shares. A lot of the commentary had to do with this OpenAI relationship and just that increased adoption that we're seeing in AI.
Okay. The analyst love continues to pour in, basically. Price target's going up, $500 from Oppenheimer. Look, what goes to 433, I guess maybe goes to 5. They're not waiting around to hit their $450 target. We're not quite there yet, but they're lifting it anyway. It kind of seems like a sign of the overall optimism.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the optimism is there. I think if you look at the last report, there were a lot of things to like, seeing the intelligent cloud segment up about 21%, seeing the revenue from Azure and other cloud services up, personal computing on the rise as well. The guidance was slightly weaker than expected for this quarter. Maybe we'll see a pickup in the next report. That would certainly go a long way. But I think when you think about the AI trade, there's tons of optimism there. This is one of those names that is, so clearly linked to AI that, it's hard to ignore that. And that's what you have investors looking at. And by the way, it's a company that, has been trying to cut down on costs. We know they've done a lot of layoffs. There's some question if maybe, that could hinder some growth, but they're cutting down on costs. They've got a runway with this AI, and, investors have been buying into that.
Okay. All right. Keeps pouring in. The price targets moving higher. The stock kind of unbeatable, almost positive here today. Coming back. Thanks, Jeff, for the look at the note.